Welcome back to your weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from November 2nd to November 9th of 2024. And I know it's not Halloween, but I hope you're ready to be terrified by what I'm about to show you with the singles market sales. Guys, stay tuned. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back. MTG Moxman here, your host for this week's Top 10. A reminder, guys, if you liked hanging out with the Moxman, if you like being here with me, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel because then you'll never miss what's going on this channel. If you want to support me as well, you can go ahead and use my TCG Player affiliate link. It's found in the description of all my videos. You click the link, anything you buy associated with my name gets a 3.5% kickback to the channel. Now let's stop in at the number 10 card. This is the Archfiend of Dross, and this is Phyrexia All Will Be One. Now, at number 10, it only had 356 sales. That's from November 2nd to the 9th, and you can see here, that's $1,634.04. This is an exceptionally low amount of cards that just got sold. This isn't the normal number in the thousands starting out number 10, it's low. $4.59 too on average. Now the Archfiend is a 4 casting cost, 2 black, 2 other. It's a Phyrexian demon with flying. It comes into the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it, and then during each of your upkeeps, you lose an oil counter, and if it has none left on it, then you lose the game. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. Now this card, it was selling a lot of copies. Demons are falling off. The price has come down 20%. And if you wait a little bit longer, it's going to drop further. Now number 9 this week, we're going to Fallout, people. That's right, Fallout. This is Arcane Signet Borderless Edition, and that's Universes Beyond. This thing had 363 sales, which normally would never even get the recognition of being on my top 10, but that's still $4,083.75 of sales action. It's $11.25 on average, which I actually think is a very reasonable price for this card. And the 363 sales, although it's nothing huge, it's still something to talk about because it just shows how these lower end cards move all the time, but we don't ever see them on the top 10 because it's below the radar. Now, of course, it's an Arcane Signet. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and I think somebody's taking advantage because there's a few people who bought 20-30 copies at a time. That tells me some people are speculating on the card or building a whole lot of commander decks, and they just got to have this version of the Arcane Signet. Now guys, remember that there's tons of versions of the Arcane Signet. You can get them for like 50 cents, but if you want a spicy one, you're going to pay a little bit more. Now the number 8 card this week, we're going to the Untimely Malfunction, which has been number 1 for the last several weeks, which means, yes, this week there is a new number 1 card. Now this card falls down, tumbling down actually, all the way to 484 sales, which is $817.96. This card is $1.69 on average. It was peaking a little bit where I thought it was going to reach the $2 mark. It's kind of pulled back a little bit, but this card still has a lot going on. So as a 2 casting cost, 1 red and 1 other with an instant speed, it says choose 1, destroy a target artifact, change the target of a target spell or ability with a single target, or 1 or 2 creatures can't block this turn. This gives you a lot of versatility. That's why players like the card. It is seeing some mega play right now in Arena on solid red decks using a whole bunch of like hasted spells, slick shot, sure shot, that kind of stuff. I've tried it out. It's never worked out exactly the way I want it to for myself, but I can see how players are using it to get the job done. Keep that in mind, all right, everyone? Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 7 card this week. And for number 7, we got to go all the way over to Duskmourn. Sheltered by Ghost. This thing's coming off a little bit as well. 500 sales this week, which is $1,135 of total sales action. This card's averaging $2.27. It really starts making you wonder what's going on in the singles market right now, guys. These are not normal sales. It's almost as if everything's kind of fallen off a cliff. It like drove up, the Roadrunner was down below, we're Wile E. Coyote, and we just jumped right off and said, ah, yip, and then you just fell down. That's where we're at. Sheltered by Ghost. Enchant a creature you control. When Shelter by Ghost enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Shelter by Ghost leaves the battlefield. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has lifelink and ward. Now, again, you kill the creature, you get rid of the spell, which means you free the creature that you've captured, but it's still something not too bad to use in conjunction with other types of removal, okay? I still like the card, and I can see why people are trying to use this thing a lot more, because it's going to fit into standard fairly well, and it's not expensive, which makes a lot of sense too, as it's an uncommon. Now, if we we go ahead and take a look at our next card, we are going to stay and just keep in with Duskmourn right now. Now here we have Enduring Vitality. This thing's $5.39 on average, 549 sales this week, which is $2,959.11. Again, really low sales. We're at the number 6 card. We haven't even cracked 1,000 sales yet. That tells you what's going on. And I'll be honest, it doesn't get much better from here. It's kind of like watching a train wreck, but you just can't take your eyes away. So, this card is a 2 green, 1 other. Now this is an enchantment creature, Elk Glimmer. It has vigilance. Creatures you control have tap to add any color to your mana pool, and when it dies, it basically does the exact same thing as an enchantment. Kind of a double effect. I love the card. I like the ability. It's not very expensive, so it's fitting into a lot of decks right now, and the price point coming down the way it is has made it a very affordable option for players. So hey, everyone's winning right now, which is a good thing. Then why is nobody buying the card? Let's go ahead and take a look. Now our next card is the Patchwork Banner. You guys remember this? This is the Bloomborough card that refuses to go away. Now big news here is it is over the $5 mark finally. 602 sales this week, $3,148.46 of total sales action. But it is over $5. I know I called this a few weeks back as it was inching its way. I said there was nothing really going to stop it. The supply is too low. The demand is still high. And although it's not in any championship winning decks, it's still seeing a lot of play. Now, as a 3 casting cost generic artifact, it states, as Patchwork Banner enters, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. And then, of course, it can tap to add any color mana to your mana pool. On a little side note, remember, you got to have the creature in your deck, or it's not going to let you choose anything. If you make a creatureless deck that uses lands that animate and stuff, you won't get any benefit from the +1/+1. I know, because I did it, and it was horrible. I was trying to use Phyrexian, the little Mirrex guys. It was bad. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Now, this one we're going to remember. This is the Unholy Annex. This thing saw massive, massive sales. So now it's down to 692, and it's like an $8 card. It's already just totally falling off. Now, $5,750 of total sales actions, actually pretty still respectable, guys. That's not a bad number or anything. But the fact we're still at the number 4 card and we haven't reached 1,000 sales, anyone who watches this channel regularly has to be asking, what is going on? Unholy Annex does say, though, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you lose 2 life. And of course, the second door says when you unlock this door, you get a 6/6 demon creature with flying. But you got to pay 5 to do it. This card is being utilized and is highly effective. So even though this price is dropping off, this might be your time to grab some copies if you can find them. Okay? I don't know if it's going to drop a lot more. I think it may settle around $6, but you really want to wait that long? That's where I'm at. I'm getting my last 2 copies. Now, our next card is Urza's Cave Modern Horizons 3. This continues to see some pretty consistent sales right now. Players believe in this card. We're at number 3 with 712 sales, or $1,737.28. It's an uncommon. It's going to be reprinted. We know this, but when is it going to get reprinted and what does it do? This is what players need to be aware of. Is these kind of cards like Echoing Deeps, these weird kind of land cards make sense. And it's an Urza's Cave, so it works with Urza's Workshop. Don't forget, okay? Now, that's another card that's in a commander deck. Keep it in mind. 3, sacrifice Urza's Cave, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tap. Now, the cool thing you can do is if you go and search this to get the Urza's Workshop, right? That's great. And then you can do the Echoing Deeps to like copy the Urza's Cave. It's kind of effective. It's kind of fun. And you can have a lot of fun getting all kinds of other crazy cards. And if you can recycle it, even better. And for less than $2, crazy deal. Now, our number 2 card is Enduring Tenacity. It's $2.91. It's fallen off the face of the earth. It has 989 sales to take the number 2 spot, which is $2,877.99. Now, at $2.91, this is a very affordable card. Does it make sense to buy 4? That's the real question. And especially if you're playing standard, is this a card that's going to fit into some of your decks? Let's take a closer look at the card. It's got 2 black and 2 other. This one does say enchantment creature Snake Glimmer. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Keep that in mind. When Enduring Tenacity dies, if it was a creature, returns to the battlefield under its owner's control, and it's an enchantment. So it gets a double whammy effect. It gets to come back one more time unless they can find a way to exile it to keep its ability alive, to really hurt people if you've got a life-linking deck or a way of gaining life and taking it from them. I mean, in a commander game, this thing's going to be a pretty brutal card to play against, especially if you have ways of sneaking it back onto the battlefield if your opponent removes it. Now, number 1 this week. Number 1. We've made it to number 1. It is Gloomlake Verge. Now, this thing had 1,149 sales, which is $11,949.60. $10.40 is the average. The card is now leveling out. I'm glad to see it's not spiking to 20 bucks like we saw with some of the triomes from back in the day, like Ikoria and stuff. It's good to see it leveling out, and it never hit below that $7, $8 mark as it levels, so it's probably going to stay and remain a $10 card, and that's good news. Now, of course, it taps to add blue to your mana pool, but you can add black to your mana pool if you control an island or a swamp. This card is highly effective inside commander decks. I am seeing it regularly now as kind of a cheap version of getting yourself a dual land that doesn't cost you $1,000 to get it. People are using it as like a proxy card to fit in because there's so many fetch lands that can let you get this stuff that it's going to work for you. Now, we have a lot to talk about here in the wrap-up, so let's get that party started, but this was your number one card. If you think the numbers are low, you are absolutely correct. There is no other way of looking at this. The sales have dropped off more than 60% week over week. Now, we've had a few buoyant weeks where the sales were a lot higher than normal for this time of year. But now we are getting into like late November. We're like getting halfway through the month, and sales are even lower than I anticipated them to be at this stage. They're about 50% lower than I would have expected them to be at. And it just shows that wallet fatigue is in full effect. It also shows that people are saving money for maybe MTG Foundations. Next week's sales will give us an indicator if this set really took off and had the anticipation players desired, or if it's a lot of puff and circumstance. People say, oh, it's amazing, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And then when it actually comes time, nobody buys it. Just a few singles move. I would expect to see high numbers if it's as an anticipated set as people are saying. I'll look at the pre-release tomorrow or today or earlier today. By the time you see this video, I'll already be at the pre-release. I will let you guys know probably on the Sunday video and on the live stream how that went, but I'll do a follow-up video after I get the numbers in for how the singles actually sold and how the boxes moved on what happened with MTG Foundations, and of course into the entire week, all the way following to the official release date. But I want to get back to these numbers for a minute. We'll cover that stuff this week. It's upcoming videos, but let's talk about this. When you see sales numbers this low, there are a lot of contributing factors that can lead to this. We have a very good market right now, and people may have been putting a lot of money into the stock market, okay? The US elections are done, things are settling in, and the markets are reacting, and a lot of people are reacting with them. There's also a chance, and by the time this video is done, I haven't started counting the reserve list numbers, but reserve list sales could be higher than normal this week. There's been a lot of talk on some other channels and other things that I don't know anything about, as Alpha Investments say. I don't know. People don't talk to me. I don't know anything. But there may be things going on in the backdrop of how some of the reserve list cards are moving. We will talk about that in the reserve list video on Sunday, which is tomorrow, if everything goes according to plan and the numbers are as high as I think some of them are going to be. If not, then nothing happened and it was all just an email for nothing. You know what I mean? We're here in the video. If you're this late in the video, you know I have lots of people who give me things. It's awesome. It's good to have friends. Be nice to people. Treat them the way you want to be treated. It all works out in the end. Karma and all that stuff. Now, let's wrap this up because I know we're at the end of a wrap-up video. With the numbers as low as they are, and wish lists still being high on a lot of different cards that are not available right now. Like the Gloomlake Verge, it's sold out at a lot of stores, and players do want to buy it, but they can't find any. Do you know why they can't find any? Because nobody's opening the boxes. And if nobody opens a box, the price doesn't go down, demand stays high, and when things really get going after Christmas, Black Friday deals and all that stuff are all done, and people still need the card, they're going to start paying a higher price. And that's a whole different kettle of conversation that we're not going to get into today of what happens when supply and demand do not meet. It's going to be a little bit disgusting, but we'll wait and see how that pans out. Because you know what? You don't know until you know. I'm just reporting on what happens, not what is going to happen, because you don't have a crystal ball. Either do I. Guys, thank you again for hanging out. The sales were horrible. That's the only way you can put it. Horrible. That means not very many cards moved this week at all your LGSs around the world, online, all that sort of stuff. Although, I know a few reserve list cards moved because I bought some. Guys, thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here in the video. And if you're doing your pre-release, I hope you're having a blast. I hope you're having fun. I hope I'm having fun. I hope I'm winning right now. I feel like Mr. Bean in Rat Race where he goes, I'm winning, I'm winning. If you didn't see that movie, it's a funny line. Guys, I'll see you soon. Have a great one. Ramble, jamble. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic supporters of my channel. Without the patrons on this channel, without my YouTube membership members, the daily upload of content for this channel would not be possible. So you always take a moment to thank the people who actually make it happen. And that's the supporters of the channel. Guys, thanks again for being there. The believers are here, and I will see you guys tomorrow, of course, with another video. Well, well, well. If you had told me the sales were going to be that low, wouldn't have believed it. And the thing is, it took longer to count because I didn't believe that there was something that low that would be in the top 10. I thought for sure other cards would overtake it. Nothing I could find. Guys, crazy low sales. Now I have to wait a whole week to see what happened and kind of come back to the conversation later on. Now, if you're here at this point in the video, you should be putting a boomstick in the comments section. You don't know why I ask you to do these random things, but sometimes they have importance. You just aren't aware of it. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing not to know. Surprises are always a good thing. And of course, this being the Ramble Jamble, we already know there's a core audience that will make it to the end. And then once in a while, there's a strange person out there who for no reason goes, I'm going to watch the credits. Oh, he's talking in the credits. And there's something after the credits. You were lucky you found me this time, but maybe not next time. Guys, have a great one. Ramble. Jamble.